I want to share with you the importance of mastering official written communication, how effectively conveying your message in emails can enhance your professionalism and efficiency. This module on official communications is designed to help you understand the essential guidelines for crafting clear, concise, and respectful emails, both internally and externally. By mastering these skills, you can significantly improve your communication, reduce misunderstandings, and ensure that your messages are received and acted upon appropriately. Written communication essentials. Written communication in the workplace is predominantly conducted through emails. It's crucial to understand the basic guidelines, do's and don'ts of email communication to ensure your messages are effective. This section will cover the essential aspects of structure, style, and content that you should always consider when composing emails, especially when communicating with colleagues or external partners. Understanding these essentials is critical because emails often serve as formal records of communication. Properly structured and clear emails prevent miscommunication and ensure that your messages are understood and respected. On the other hand, neglecting these principles can lead to misunderstandings, missed deadlines, and a decrease in your professional credibility. Emails, do's and don'ts. Emails should always formalize communication and never replace direct dialogue. Keep your emails brief, structured, and to the point, avoiding long descriptions or unnecessary details. It's important to avoid using emails for discussions that can be handled in person or over the phone. This section provides practical guidelines for ensuring your emails are effective and respectful. Adhering to these do's and don'ts is essential for maintaining a professional image and ensuring that your communication is efficient and effective. By following these guidelines, you reduce the risk of overwhelming your colleagues with unnecessary emails, allowing everyone to focus on their core tasks. Ignoring these rules can lead to time management issues, cluttered inboxes, and strained professional relationships. Structure and organization of emails. The structure of your emails should be clear and organized, with well-defined folders and rules to manage incoming and outgoing messages. This section covers the best practices for setting up your email system, ensuring that your communication is not only effective, but also easy to track and reference. Properly structuring and organizing your emails is crucial for staying on top of your communication and ensuring that important information is not lost. By establishing a logical and efficient email organization system, you can save time and reduce stress. Failing to organize your emails can lead to confusion, missed messages, and a general decline in productivity. Style in official emails. The style of your emails should match the formality of the relationship you have with the recipient. This section discusses how to adjust your writing style to be either formal or informal, depending on the context and the person you are communicating with. It also emphasizes the importance of maintaining a respectful tone, regardless of the situation. Understanding and applying the appropriate style in your emails is vital for ensuring that your messages are received in the manner you intend. A well-considered style can help build and maintain positive professional relationships. Conversely, an inappropriate or inconsistent style can create misunderstandings and potentially damage your professional reputation. Content of official emails. The content of your emails should be precise, clear, and aligned with the objectives of your communication. This section covers the importance of proofreading, being concise, and ensuring that your emails reflect your professionalism. It also highlights the importance of checking your emotional state before composing an email to avoid any negative tone that might affect the recipient. Focusing on the content of your emails is crucial for ensuring that your communication is effective and professional. Well-crafted content can convey your message clearly and help you achieve your communication goals. However, poorly considered content can lead to misinterpretation, frustration, and a decline in the effectiveness of your communication. External email communications. Communicating with external partners or clients requires even more attention to detail and formality. This section emphasizes the need for clear subject lines, patience in waiting for responses, and maintaining a formal tone in all external communications. It also discusses the importance of proper email management to ensure that your communication remains professional and efficient. Mastering external email communication is essential for representing your organization in the best possible light. By following these guidelines, you can build strong professional relationships and avoid common pitfalls in external communication. Neglecting these principles can lead to misunderstandings, delays, and a tarnished professional image. Points to remember: emails. Finally, this section provides a checklist of points to remember when composing and sending emails. These include ensuring privacy, knowing your audience, maintaining proper email signatures, and reflecting professionalism in every message you send. It also offers tips on managing your inbox effectively to avoid being overwhelmed by email correspondence. Following these points is key to maintaining a high standard of communication in your professional life. By adhering to these best practices, you can ensure that your emails are always clear, respectful, and effective. Failing to consider these points can result in miscommunication, loss of important information, and a decline in your professional reputation. This module emphasizes the importance of mastering official written communication, providing insights into how structured, clear, and respectful emails can enhance your professionalism and effectiveness in the workplace.
Hi, I would like to share some thoughts on email communication because in my experience, it's something that can either make work much smoother or create unnecessary confusion. I remember when emails first started becoming popular in offices, people were excited about how fast they could send messages across continents. Now, they've become so routine that many people don't even think twice about how they use them. The problem is, emails are often misused, and I've seen that a few small changes can make a huge difference in how effective they are. One thing I've noticed is that emails are often treated like a place for back and forth discussions, which can get exhausting. Instead of getting to the point, people keep replying, sometimes even arguing, until the original purpose of the email is lost. And let's be honest, no one enjoys being stuck in a long, drawn-out email chain when a quick conversation could have solved everything in minutes. If you've ever had to scroll through 20 emails just to figure out what's going on, you know exactly what I mean. It would help if we started treating emails as a way to document key decisions, share essential information, or make formal requests, rather than as a chat room. If something needs discussion, it's almost always better to talk it through first and then follow up with a summary email. That way, there's a clear record of what was agreed upon, but you're not wasting time typing and retyping the same points. Also, keeping emails clear and to the point makes a huge difference. I've seen that people respond much faster when they don't have to dig through long paragraphs to figure out what's being asked of them. If you want quick, effective responses, writing shorter, well-structured emails is the way to go. A few things to keep in mind. Use emails for clarity, not conversation. If something requires a real discussion, it's better to have a call or a meeting. Keep emails short and purposeful. The longer the email, the less likely people are to read every word. Never send an email in frustration. If something upsets you, step away, take a breath, and revisit it later. Make your subject line clear. If someone has to open your email to figure out what it's about, you might need a better subject. Always have a purpose. Before hitting send, ask yourself, what do I need from this email? If the answer isn't obvious, rewrite it. I've seen that just being mindful of these small things makes email communication much smoother and less stressful. You might like to try them and see if they make a difference for you too. I've also noticed that how an email is structured makes a big difference in how well it's received. A messy, unorganized email can leave people confused, while a well-structured one makes it easy for the reader to understand the message and respond quickly. If you've ever opened an email and had to reread it just to figure out what the sender wants, you know how frustrating that can be. It would help if emails were written in a way that gets straight to the point without unnecessary fluff. A good subject line is the first step. It should immediately tell the recipient what the email is about. Something vague like request or quick question doesn't really help. Instead, something like Project X update needed by Friday is much clearer. It makes it easier for the recipient to prioritize and respond appropriately. When writing the email itself, starting with a brief introduction helps set the context. After that, the main message should be broken into short, clear sections so it's easy to skim. Using bullet points for key information makes it even better. The last part should always include a clear action step, what you need from the recipient and when. If there's no clear next step, the email might not even be necessary. A good way to think about it is, if someone were just skimming your email, would they immediately know what you're asking for? If not, it might need a little more structure. I've seen that when people take a few extra seconds to organize their emails, they get faster and more effective responses. Here are a few things that might help. Keep paragraphs short. Long blocks of text can be overwhelming. Breaking things up makes emails easier to read. Use bullet points for key details. This helps highlight important information quickly. Be clear about what you need. If you're asking for something, make sure the request stands out. Avoid unnecessary details. Stick to what's relevant to avoid overwhelming the reader. End with a clear call to action. Whether it's a response, approval, or next steps, make it obvious. I've found that emails written this way tend to get quicker, more useful replies, and they also cut down on the number of unnecessary follow-ups. You might like to try structuring your emails this way and see if it makes a difference for you. Something I've seen far too often is emails that unintentionally come across as rude, demanding, or even aggressive. People don't always realize how tone translates in writing, and without the benefit of facial expressions or voice inflection, a simple request can sometimes sound like an order. It would help if emails were written with a little more awareness of how they might be perceived. A polite and professional tone can make all the difference in how your message is received and whether you get the response you're hoping for. One of the biggest mistakes I've noticed is the overuse of direct, commanding phrases like, "You need to do this," or "Why haven't you responded?" Even if that's not the intention, it can sound harsh. A better approach is to phrase things in a way that encourages collaboration, like, "Could you provide an update on this when you have a chance?" Or, "Let me know if you need any additional information to move forward." It keeps the conversation open and professional rather than confrontational. It would also help to be mindful of things like excessive capital letters, which can feel like shouting, abrupt one-line responses that might seem dismissive, or overly formal wording that sounds robotic. Striking the right balance between professional and approachable makes emails much easier to read and respond to. And when in doubt, adding a simple please or thanks goes a long way. Here are a few things I've found useful when it comes to maintaining a positive and professional tone in emails. Be polite and respectful. Even when you're frustrated, take a moment to soften the language. Use we instead of you when possible. It makes the message feel more like teamwork than blame. Avoid sounding too abrupt. If you're writing just a single sentence, adding a greeting or sign-off helps make it feel complete. Read it aloud before sending. This can help you catch any unintended harshness in your wording. If you're annoyed, wait before sending. A short break can help you reword things in a calmer way. In my experience, emails written with a thoughtful tone not only get better responses, but also help build stronger working relationships. You might like to try it and see how people respond differently when emails feel more cooperative and professional. One thing I've noticed is that people tend to default to emails for everything, even when it's not the best tool for the job. I've seen long, drawn-out email chains where a quick phone call could have resolved things in minutes. On the other hand, I've also seen people interrupting meetings for things that could have easily been handled with a simple email. It would help if we took a moment to consider whether email is actually the best way to communicate before hitting send. Emails work best for documentation, formal requests, and information sharing. If you need a record of something, like confirming decisions, assigning tasks, or summarizing discussions, email is a great option. But if you need quick clarification, immediate feedback, or a brainstorming session, talking in real time is almost always more effective. I've found that when people stop using email as a replacement for conversation, work flows much more smoothly. It might also be worth thinking about how emails fit into your daily workflow. If you're spending half your day going back and forth over email when a 5-minute chat could wrap things up, that's a sign it's time to switch approaches. On the other hand, if you're constantly being pulled into unnecessary calls or meetings, suggesting an email summary instead might save everyone time. Here are a few things that might help when deciding how to communicate. Use email for formal records, not discussions. If something needs documentation, email is great, but for active discussions, a meeting or call is better. Pick up the phone for quick clarifications. If an email turns into a back and forth thread, a call can often resolve it faster. Schedule meetings for big decisions. Anything that requires group input is usually best discussed live. Don't use email for urgent issues. If something is time sensitive, direct communication is more effective. Summarize verbal discussions with an email. If you have an important conversation, a quick follow-up email can help keep everyone on the same page. I've seen that when people use email more intentionally rather than just out of habit, it cuts down on unnecessary messages, reduces misunderstandings, and saves a lot of time. You might like to experiment with different approaches and see what works best for you. I've seen so many unnecessary frustrations at work just because of small mistakes in emails. It's usually not intentional. People are just in a rush or not thinking about how their emails come across. But these little missteps can lead to confusion, wasted time, or even tension between colleagues. It would help if we were a bit more mindful of the common pitfalls that can turn a simple email into a problem. One mistake I've noticed a lot is sending emails in the heat of the moment. If something upsets you, it's tempting to fire off a quick response, but that almost always backfires. I've found that taking a step back, even just for a few minutes, helps to reword things in a way that keeps the conversation productive. Another issue is emails that are too long and packed with unnecessary details. Most people don't have time to read a wall of text, and the more they have to dig for the main point, the more likely they are to miss it altogether. It might also be worth watching out for things like unclear subject lines, forgetting to proofread, or sending emails to the wrong recipients. Small things, but they can make a big difference in how smoothly communication flows. And let's not forget the dreaded reply all button. If you've ever been caught in a group email thread that spirals out of control, you know exactly why it's important to use that feature wisely. Here are a few things I've found helpful when trying to avoid email missteps. Never send an email when frustrated. Wait, cool down, and reread it later before hitting send. Keep emails concise. If it takes too long to read, people might skim and miss key points. Use clear subject lines. It should be obvious what the email is about without opening it. Double check before sending. Look for typos, make sure attachments are included, and confirm you're emailing the right person. Be careful with reply all. Only use it if everyone truly needs to see your response. Don't assume tone. If something sounds rude, consider whether it was intentional before reacting. In my experience, just being mindful of these simple things can drastically improve email communication. You might like to try making a habit of reviewing emails before sending and see if it saves you from unnecessary misunderstandings. I've seen so many people drowning in emails, feeling like they spend half their day just sorting through their inbox instead of actually getting work done. It's easy to email take over, especially when messages are constantly coming in. But I've found that with a little effort, it's possible to take control of your inbox rather than letting it control you. It would help if we were a bit more intentional about when and how we handle emails instead of reacting to them all day long. One thing that makes a big difference is not checking emails constantly. I used to keep my inbox open all the time, responding to messages as soon as they arrived, but that just led to constant distractions. Now, I've seen that setting specific times to check and respond to emails, maybe 2 or 3 times a day, helps keep my focus on actual work. Another trick that helps is organizing emails into folders or labels instead of letting them pile up in one giant inbox. It takes a little setup, but once it's done, finding important emails becomes so much easier. It might also be worth cutting down on unnecessary emails in the first place. I've noticed that a lot of inbox clutter comes from emails that didn't need to be sent at all. things that could have been handled with a quick conversation, calendar invite, or even just not saying anything at all. And if you're constantly buried in email chains where everyone is replying to all, it's worth encouraging people to be more mindful about who really needs to be included. Here are a few things I've found useful for managing email overload. Set specific times for checking email. Constantly refreshing your inbox makes it hard to focus on real work. Use folders or labels. Organizing emails by project, client, or urgency helps keep things manageable. Unsubscribe from unnecessary emails. If you're deleting the same newsletters every day, just remove yourself from the list. Keep responses short and to the point. Long emails take more time to read and often lead to more follow-ups. Reduce unnecessary emails. Before sending one, ask yourself if it's really needed, or if a quick chat would be faster. Encourage smarter use of group emails. If a reply doesn't add value for everyone, don't hit reply all. I've found that making a few small changes in how I handle emails has freed up so much more time in my day. You might like to try setting some simple email boundaries and see if it helps you feel less overwhelmed. I've noticed that writing emails to people outside of your company requires a little more care than internal emails. With colleagues, there's often some level of understanding or informal communication, but with external contacts, whether it's clients, vendors, or business partners, your email represents not just you, but your entire organization. It would help if emails to external contacts were a bit more polished, professional, and structured to avoid misunderstandings and create a positive impression. One mistake I've seen people make is being too casual in their emails to external contacts. While it's fine to be friendly, skipping proper greetings or jumping straight into the request can make the message feel abrupt. On the other hand, being overly formal can also make the email sound stiff or impersonal. Finding the right balance, clear, professional, and warm without being too rigid, makes a big difference in how well the message is received. It might also be worth paying extra attention to subject lines and response times. I've seen cases where people send emails with vague subjects like following up or question, which can easily get lost in a busy inbox. Adding specific details like Project X status update required helps the recipient quickly understand the purpose. Also, unlike internal emails, where quick back and forths are common, responses to external emails may take longer. It's good to set clear expectations. If you need a response by a certain date, it helps to say so up front. Here are a few things that I've found helpful when writing external emails. Use a professional but approachable tone. Avoid being too casual, but don't be robotic either. Start with a proper greeting, using dear name or hi name, depending on the formality, keeps things respectful. Be specific in the subject line. Mention project names, invoice numbers, or other details to make emails easy to find. Give a clear purpose up front. Let the recipient know why you're writing in the first few lines. Respect response times. External contacts have different priorities, so allow reasonable time for replies. Always proofread before sending. Typos or unclear wording can make a bad impression. Sign off professionally. Including your name, title, and contact details helps the recipient know who you are. I've found that being a little extra careful with external emails prevents a lot of back and forth and makes interactions much smoother. You might like to try these small adjustments and see how they improve your communication with clients, vendors, and partners. One thing I've learned over the years is that email security and privacy are often overlooked until something goes wrong. I've seen people casually forward emails without checking what's included, send sensitive information over email without a second thought, or even fall for phishing scams because they weren't paying attention. It would help if we all took a little extra care when handling emails, especially when dealing with confidential or sensitive information. A big mistake I've noticed is people sharing things over email that should never be sent that way. Things like passwords, personal data, or financial details. It's easy to think, oh, I'll just send this quickly. But once that email is out there, you have no control over where it goes or who sees it. If something is truly sensitive, it's much safer to use a secure platform or encrypted message instead of just typing it into an email. It might also be worth double-checking email recipients before sending anything important. I've seen people accidentally send emails to the wrong person just because autosuggest filled in the wrong name. It's a small thing, but it can create huge problems, especially when dealing with confidential information. And when replying to group emails, it's always good to think twice before hitting reply all. Some things are meant to stay private. Here are a few things I always keep in mind when it comes to email security and privacy. Never send passwords or sensitive data over email. Use a secure method instead. Be cautious with attachments. Double check that you're sending the right files, especially with external contacts. Verify email recipients before sending. Make sure the right person is getting your message. Watch out for phishing scams. If an email looks suspicious, don't click links or download attachments. Use BCC blind carbon copy for group emails. This protects recipients' privacy. Avoid discussing private matters over email. If something is highly sensitive, a phone call or secure platform is better. I've found that just being a little more mindful of these things helps avoid a lot of potential headaches. You might like to try being extra careful with how you handle email security. It's one of those things that doesn't seem important until something goes wrong, and by then, it's often too late. One thing I've learned is that a few extra seconds of checking an email before sending it can save a lot of confusion, miscommunication, or even embarrassment. I've seen emails go out with missing attachments, typos that completely changed the meaning, or vague messages that left the recipient wondering what they were supposed to do. It would help if we all made a habit of reviewing our emails carefully before hitting send. A common mistake I've noticed is forgetting to include important details, like deadlines, names, or key instructions, forcing follow-up emails that could have been avoided. I've also seen people send messages in a rush without checking for tone, which sometimes leads to unintended misunderstandings. Something that sounds fine in your head might come across as rude or unclear when read by someone else. So it's always good to take a step back and read your email as if you were the recipient. It might also be worth checking for small but crucial things, like whether you've actually attached the file you mentioned. I've sent my fair share of, oops, here's the attachment emails, or if the recipient list is correct. And if it's an important or sensitive email, reading it one last time with fresh eyes before it's too late can make all the difference. Here are a few things I always check before sending an email. Is the purpose of the email clear? If the recipient has to guess what you need, rewrite it. Does the subject line make sense? It should be specific and informative, not vague. Have you proofread for typos or unclear wording? Read it aloud if necessary. Is your tone professional and polite? If there's any chance it could be misread, soften the language. Have you attached the right files? Double check before sending. Are you sending it to the right people? Autosuggest can lead to embarrassing mistakes. Is there a clear call to action? Make sure the recipient knows what's expected of them. I've found that just taking a moment to run through these checks saves so much time and frustration later. You might like to try making this a habit. It's a small effort that can make a big difference in how effectively your emails are received and understood.